In this video lesson, we're going to explore the metric units and prefixes and how to do measurement conversions. We're going to be focusing on some skills of how to convert units from one to another in something called dimensional analysis. But we're going to begin with metric certain units. There's a reference table D that lists the different units that you might have to use in this class. Meters and their abbreviation of M, grams, which is G, moles, joules, seconds. So there's a whole reference table D. If you don't know what any of those abbreviations stand for, it tells you, it gives you that information. There's also a reference table C, which gives you selected metric prefixes. These are the ones that are the most commonly used in this class. We're going to look at them a little more in depth in this chart that is here in your handout. All right, so there is the factor of 10 to the third. In scientific notation, this is 1 times 10 to the third power, like that, which of course is just 1,000. It is a prefix known as a kilo, and what that means, if we're going to use kilometers, we'll use our base unit of meters. So 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Okay. Now the next value that's important for you to know is 10 to the 0. 10 to the 0 is just 1 times 10 to the 0, which is equal to just 1. Anything to raise to the 0th power is 1. There's no prefix when this is the case. This is just what is called your base unit. And in this case, our base unit that we are using as our example today is the meter. So if 1 kilometer is bigger than a meter, but then when we start to see negative exponents here, we're talking about units that are smaller than the base unit. So 10 to the minus 1 in scientific notation is 1 times 10 to the minus 1, which is the same thing as 1 over 10 to the first power, which is nothing more than 0.1. This is a tenth, right? A tenth of a meter. So this is what's called a decimeter. A deci has an abbreviation of D. And what we would say here is that 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters. So 1 meter has 10 decimeters, or if you want to think about it this way, a decimeter is a tenth of a meter. So it depends on which angle you're looking at. I tend to prefer, I'll be talking about in class, talking about the bigger unit. 1 meter is bigger than 1 decimeter. I think it's easier for most people to understand it, to visualize it that way. 10 to the minus 2 is in scientific notation 1 times 10 to the minus 2. This is the same thing as 1 over 10 squared, which is 1 over 100, which is 0.01. This is otherwise known as a hundredth. The prefix for this value would be centi. We use a little c as the abbreviation for that. And we would say that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Or a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. 10 to the minus 3 is what is known as a milli, prefix of a milli. We use a little m for that. This is 1 times 10 to the negative 3. Same thing as 1 over 10 to the third power, or 1 over 1,000, which is 0.001, right? And if we're talking about context, 1 meter then is equal to 1,000 millimeters. Or 1 millimeter is a thousandth of 1 meter, right? Now, 10 to the fourth, 10 to the minus fourth, 10 to the minus fifth are not units that are even named officially. So 10 to the sixth is the next one that we are interested in looking at. This is the same as 1 times 10 to the negative 6. This is the same as 1 over 10 to the 6th power. That's the same thing as a million, 1 millionth, which would be 0.00000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Right, so that's how I can count. If I say 10 to the minus 6th, I'm going to see 6 zeros, including the one right before the decimal. So that's how I can quickly write out this number in expanded notation. But the prefix for this value is a micro. Now a micro has a funny little symbol. It's like, some people see this as like a strange M or maybe a strange lowercase u, but it's pronounced micro. And we would say that 1 meter is equal to a million, right? This is 1 millionth. 1 micrometer is 1 millionth of a meter, or alternatively, you can say 1 meter is equal to a million micrometers. And that would, of course, we abbreviate it as a micrometer right there. Millimeters up here would be mm, centimeters would be cm, decimeters would be dm, etc. 10 to the minus ninth is 1 times 10 to the negative ninth. This is 1 over 1 billion. 1 billion is 10 to the ninth. I'm not going to do that out. This is just too many zeros to write out. But this is a nano. Right? Nano means 9. So that's where that prefix comes from. But we would say that 1 meter is equal to 1 times 10 to the ninth nanometers. And I'm just going to use the abbreviation here for nanometers, right? This is 1 billion. That's what that number is right there, 1 billion nanometers. 10 to the minus 12 is 1 times 10 to the minus 12. It's the same thing as saying 1 over 10 to the 12th. This is a trillionth, right? One of these is a trillionth, and this is a picometer. Pico has a lowercase p. So we would say that 1 meter has 1 times 10 to the 12th picometers, right? And then this number here, oh, that's a terrible, is the same as a trillion, right? So there are a trillion picometers in 1 meter. This is the unit that you see most frequently when you look up the radius of an atom. This is the unit that you see most frequently when you're looking up the wavelength of light. So that's why we are seeing those in this particular course. All right, so just kind of becoming more familiar with these prefixes, we're now going to put these onto a number line, so to speak. And your note packet might have this base unit over here, and if your notes does have this here,